we have a talk on how gamification, entrepreneurship, and innovation can make the world a better place. Heidi Cuppari will be speaking with Mahima. And Heidi is the founder of Dream Tank, a social entrepreneurship accelerator and think tank. Heidi and Mahima, over to you.
Good morning. Well, good morning here for me.
Well, it's good afternoon for us. And, it's several parts of the day for different people who are logging in from different parts of the world. And I welcome you, Heidi. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to finally be able to bring you and have you have a conversation with us. I've had my eyes on your Dream Tank, the team of people, the students and the children and the young voices that you've been nurturing, supporting and mentoring to bring their dreams to realities. And I first encountered them last year at the Open EXO event. And I was so suitably impressed. I was absolutely inspired myself. And I was left with the feeling that, we as adults, we really need to do nothing else other than to support the children. And because they are the ones who have so much energy, so many ideas and creativity, and they're on fire. So we just need to keep fanning those flames from the side. Just, take a back seat, fan the flames and let them move forward. So I'm absolutely beyond thrilled to be able to speak to the person who has actually started all of this. So welcome, Heidi. I'm, very warm welcome on my behalf, on the team's behalf, on everybody who is at the International Kindness Festival.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure to be here, and especially with another mom who's doing a big thing during COVID and beyond to really bring the world together with kindness and compassion and authenticity and really unity. So it's as much of an honor for me to be here and witness and experience the beautiful world that you've created as well.
So Heidi, let me ask you this. What kind of inspired you or triggered you to, that, you should help the youth move their vision forward in technology, that this is the space where it's required? Because I know this is a struggling point for most parents around the world. Even though they want their kids to be good at it, they're very reluctant to encourage them in that space because of this whole struggle of what is a good amount of screen time and not, and is technology going to eat your brain? Are we going to create a whole generation of zombies? So what inspired you to take that bull by the horn?
Well, like most things, it's that inspire me is my children. My children are, like most children, interested in expressing themselves, finding out who they are. And with the world being the way it is, right now is a little different. So I'll get to that. But I'll start with about 5 years ago, I had a big epiphany. And so just reeling back to a little bit of history, I've been doing impact investing in social entrepreneurship and systems investing in social impact with families, family offices, investors across all asset classes for about 16 years. So I've been helping people. I only really joined the world of finance because it's a big leverage point for change. Mm-hmm. Before that, I was working in entrepreneurship in developing countries, mm-hmm. where we would invest in ecosystems of entrepreneurship and helping people invest in their own lives and solve their own problems. Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the companies and the models that inspired me to get involved in social impact and social entrepreneurship was based in India. Mm-hmm. And it was through the organization IDE that I was working for. And they were working on water collecting, water distribution, mm-hmm. And water technology for agriculture for rural poor farming families. And with the introduction of an entrepreneurial approach, people were able to double and triple their income in 1 year and bring themselves out of poverty. And so that really struck me as the model for change, because we don't have to wait for legislation to go straight to the market and give people what they need. And empowering people to actually sell and work through the whole supply chain creates change. Just buying a well does not change a community. Having people have a supply chain on how, distributing water can help make money for people in the community. That's sustainable change, right? So I was enamored with the idea of finance and entrepreneurship as unifying tools for social change that are not necessarily debatable, right? Because looking at the zeitgeist and the political system around me, I was always looking for what is the thing that brings us together. How can we have to start somewhere that brings us together. So I was looking for different models that didn't polarize us, but that unified us. And so I saw impact investing and entrepreneurship and technology as three major tool sets that we could align with the world we want to create. And so as I was working on this, and I was going to a lot of impact investing conferences, I was looking at all different types of social entrepreneurship models, I noticed that there was something missing, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was. I thought something needs to leap us forward. We're still thinking too incrementally. We're still thinking in sectors. We're trying to even shove impact investing into an old profit model in the beginning and try to have exit strategies that mirror traditional financial markets. But there was a brewing change of decentralized finance, of innovation. All these different aspects were coming up over the past 15 years, and we hadn't quite matched those two to get exponentially beyond where we've been before. And when I say that, I've been monitoring the flow of capital into ESG and impact related ventures. And the fact that it outperforms, and actually now you can make money and make an impact, still hadn't gotten out there enough so that the flow of capital has not been fully unleashed. So there was something missing. So about 5 years ago now, I was at a conference, family office conference, talking about impact investing. And I was working specifically a lot with women and millennials on aligning their money and with their meaning and the impact, and teaching financial literacy from their passion. So bringing more relational and more actual feminine energy into the financial process. And they asked me, what would I do if I had 1 year left to live, on this panel? And I hadn't prepared for that question. And I was there talking about all the impact investing work I was going to do. And in that moment, it was as if a lifetime passed in that moment of visions, ideas. It was this big epiphany. I know a lot of people on there, we call it, hero's journey or human journey, is we get some awareness or something that takes us even beyond where we thought we were. And that is what came to me in that moment, was I would want to do something, A, that I spend time with my kids, B, that leapt us forward for humanity, and in fact, took everything I had learned and seen and actually solved something. And I wouldn't care what anyone thought if it was super crazy, because I was going to die in a year. So why don't I just think so wild and so crazy and see what happens in this moment? And I remembered all these conversations I would have with my children while I was traveling to Africa and Asia and doing this into impact investing, social entrepreneurship work. And I would talk to them about, what was going on in these villages, and how people were improving their own lives, learning entrepreneurship, all these different things. And the questions they asked and the interest they had in this blew me away. And my daughter wanted to start a business when she was 5. Wow. So I started helping her in their 4th grade. She started an official business. And I said, I'm going to teach social entrepreneurship from the start. And that everything that you do has to include people and the planet, and an awareness of unity for all things. And so when I teach you entrepreneurship, I'm going to teach you from that place. Because I believe that if business of the future incorporated compassion, kindness, triple bottom line, and everyone was expressing themselves, doing something they love, we would have a lot less strife in the world. In fact, that could be the key to peace, right? Is inner peace and self-expression. Then you're not, not pointing fingers at other people when you're yourself self-expressed, right? So through my conversations with my children and all these different summits, what came to me in that moment was the big unifier that's going to get us to collaborate more than ever is youth. We need, in order to achieve moonshot goals, you need the most imaginative thinking. And right now they're stuck in school, getting their dreams crushed by a system that's no longer serving us. And so in that moment, I said I would start a think tank for kids to listen to their ideas on how to solve the world's problems. And it was as if the universe heard that and said, she's got it. That's her mission. And everything that I was working on kind of dried up and went away so that I could do this and start with what I committed was I'm going to do a 1-week social impact accelerator and think tank experiment in a summer camp format, and started with 8 through 14-year-olds. I had no idea what they would come up with, but we had a pitch night planned, and they went through this process that I created with another young innovator who had gone through Social Entrepreneurship University and was working with young people. And so we created this curriculum that allowed children, young people, to dream big and find some thread or the breadcrumbs of their purpose and their gifts and their joy, and starting with joy and starting with compassion and kindness. Actually, was a really, really big piece of what we were building in, and empathy. So understanding who you are, what your spark is, and then coming up with a really big idea that also solved one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And then they would come up with a solution that had them feeling expressed, seen, building confidence, creating something that made the world better, and actually launching something into the world. And why, and I'll say how this all converges in technology and gaming. Because even this past year, and we've seen it even more, we knew before COVID, the school system was not serving the young people. But I don't know if we really knew the extent to how important this is even now, right? And because young people, when we're young, we're told, be kind, share, help each other. Art is wonderful. Music is wonderful, right? As soon as we start going into middle school, we start to hear, you'll never make money doing that. Survival of the fittest, competition. You have to get right. It's totally the antithesis of what we were telling them when they were young. The system is the opposite of what we tell them. We say, go after your dreams. The system's not set up for them to go after their dreams. And that's on a global basis. It's not, because the school system is the place where they would get that knowledge. And it's not necessarily. There's pockets in schools all experimenting with stuff everywhere. But so not only that, are they not getting the support to go after their dream, they're also getting their dreams crushed. I call it dream crushing, because they're saying, oh, the thing that I said you love, you're never going to make money doing that. Forget it. So now they might have been an amazing musician, but we're crushing the creativity and we're crushing the ideas by making them fit into this system. So the older they get, the less creative they are. And I have lots of data to prove this. When I would ask an 11-year-old to make a poster versus a 22-year-old marketing major at a business school having next to no creativity, and the 11-year-old having, like, it was night and day when I asked them the exact same question, how they reacted and what they created. So now these are small experiments, but you can actually extrapolate this and look at this on a broader level.
For sure, because when you see students in any school, which is from, the primaries all the way up to high school, you do see that creativity presents itself completely differently. In the early years, it's spontaneous, it's inspired, it's truly reaching for, it's got stars in the eyes. And as they grow older, it becomes a little more conditioned. It's fitting inside definitions and boxes. and that original spark has now been channelized and been told that, you trim it, you cut it, you shape it.
Yeah.
And it has
that spark, and
Yeah.
that spark has gifts for all of us, has gifts for humanity, has gifts for the planet. And we are extinguishing that. And and we must, and so while I would say in the past, even leading up, I've been saying this, but I can feel it really true even more. It's not just a nice thing to go after your purpose, and it's not a separate thing that's like, let's go on a personal development journey because it's a nice thing. I believe it's essential. It's essential to show up in the world and give your gifts. The world will miss out on your gifts, and we will all miss out if you don't come forward and express yourself. And we need to give you the support to do that. Each individual child has a spark and a gift for us.
So Heidi, I know you've taken all of this and you have you're on your way to creating something fabulous, something unbelievable and mind-bending. Because when you took me through that little tour the other day, I had that jaw-dropping moment. And I was like, how can we get this out to the world? Because just like me, I know there are tons of parents out there who have kids who are heavily into gaming. I'm just going to call it out and say it. Thanks to the COVID online learning system, several of our kids have discovered online gaming and they're heavily into it. And B, like my own daughter, she is into gaming, but she's also a lot into what can I do for the world? What can I do beyond baking cookies and making lemonade? What can I do? How can I create impact? And I'm thinking, the product that you're trying to create right now is actually the perfect confluence of both. And if I'm not mistaken, we have a surprise guest here who's going to talk to us about all of this, right? So I'm going to introduce him and, tell our people.
We'll share it. Yes, I'll answer that question with Pratik.
Well, the person I'm trying to introduce to you guys, his name is Pratik Gauri. He is a serial Indian social entrepreneur, investor, public speaker, and writer, widely known for helping to create the fifth industrial revolution by running a portfolio of companies. He serves as the India president of Fifth Element Group, a global impact management consultancy. Pratik was named Creative Entrepreneur of the Year, Startup by Entrepreneur India Magazine, and Entrepreneur of the Year 2020 by Indian Achievers Forum. He has been recognized as Entrepreneur 35 Under 35, Green Biz Global 30 Under 30, British Petroleum Scholar, World Economic Forum Global Shaper, Ambassador at One Young World, Al Gore's Climate Leader, Fellow at Startup Leadership Program, winner of Unleash 2019, Asia's Top 50 Voices by Earth Day Network, and Changemaker at Global Action on Poverty. I need to pause to take a breath. Heidi, maybe you want to introduce and tell us what this wonderful new program that you're working on gamification to improve the world. Can you talk to us a little bit about it?
Wonderful. Yeah. And Pratik will talk about his role as a next gen innovation fellow and global lead, and how he is going to help us get to at least 1 billion young people. So it's very exciting. So yeah, Pratik is one of these young entrepreneurs who has gone after his dreams, and he's I think just turned 30. So, I mean, it's just mind blowing. And I'm hoping everyone who watches will be so inspired by him. So basically especially with what's been going on with the school system. So what you asked about parents worried about screen time, gaming, all this stuff. I share all the same concerns. Believe me, I have a 12-year-old son who is a gaming fanatic. And my 15-year-old daughter has even started playing, doing more kind of gaming herself. And she wasn't as into it before COVID. So I get it. And what I would say is what's happening for the young people right now. And I noted the talk right before me, I caught, there were parts of it I caught as I was preparing. And he talked about, we might have, the trust and the damage we might be having, that the young people are having during this COVID experience, might be a lasting thing. It's not going to just go away when schools open. And here's what I'm seeing. is what we've tried, what we've done, and everyone tried their best, right? I'm not really pointing fingers. I'm just really listing the environment that they're experiencing, right? So I'm going to just give a view into the world of a school-aged person, someone who's in school, a young person during this situation. Because I've talked to so many of them, I've worked with them, you know, I've asked tons of questions. All of this is baked into what I'm going to share. So we're trying to squeeze an old school model into a Zoom screen. And all of a sudden now they had to be executive MBAs in, you know, an executive function to manage, you know, these systems. So what they're experiencing now, most of them are experiencing school in this type of learning management system type way that a lot of adults have used for online learning, with Zoom calls and with, you know, tutorials and videos and Google Docs and all these different things. That's how a lot of us have been operating. That's what we brought them into, because that's really kind of what a lot of us knew what to do. However, now what's happened is they're so mind-numbingly bored and so uninspired by their education on so many levels. And I am generalizing, but this is, again, I've spoken to many, many, many people and gotten a lot of data points. They are just, we're losing them. We're losing them. And when I say that, what I mean is we have all through the year, I talked to many of them and they said, nobody seems to be acknowledging how the world has changed. They keep expecting us to work really hard and do these, get these A's and, you know, submit all my assignments. Everybody's pushing us to do all of this stuff, but none of this makes any sense. It doesn't make sense for the world that I'm seeing right now in the world. So it was even more of a difference between school and the actual world they were experiencing, right? So why video games? Because video games gave social connection. Hi, Pratik. I'm talking about, she asked me to speak, you know, to share about this next iteration of what we're doing and why, and the state of what young people have been experiencing through COVID and how it's heightened and why this is needed even more is that games. So think about it. In their lives, they have, just imagine their world, right? They're being told what to do. They have to be on screen, or they don't have to be on screen. They have to submit their assignments. They have to figure out where everything is. They have to make sure they're not missing something. They have to figure out where to submit the assignment. A lot of these things change a lot, and they're just not easy, especially for the younger children. And their brains don't even develop for executive function, you know, until later anyway. And they've had to do this. And then it's not interesting. It's not engaging. Nobody's acknowledging how the world has changed. There's some teachers who've tried really hard, and then in their lives, their parents are so worried about their gaming, like, go outside, get some exercise, go do this, go do that, because we're trying really hard to be good parents during this time. But their world is that somebody's telling them what to do all the time, and none of it actually makes any sense to them. So they're getting more and more disenfranchised with the world. Now, the way the global leadership has failed in their eyes in the past year also is playing into this. And I would say the US has had a very big part to play, where you have leadership that is not adhering to the law and is getting away with it in many, many, many cases. So authority to them, a lot of them don't want to listen to authority in general. They don't want to listen to the teachers that much because it's really boring. They just think that none of us really get it. And they're just frustrated, right? So that's the situation. What gaming does, gaming allows them to create whatever they want with unlimited possibility. They, in many cases, they can build, they can create. It allows them to collaborate with other young people around the world and go on missions. It allows them to fail over and over again because it's part of the game and it's fun to fail in a game. Where if we tell that failing is important for innovation. So, but when we say to them, failure's okay, but everywhere in the world around them, failure is not okay. The system has not been set up to embrace failure as part of the game, right? So the mindset of gaming is the perfect conditions actually for learning and for solving the world's problems. And I'll share this story, and this is the real jaw-dropping moment. Is that there was an AIDS protein that was being researched for 15 years by the medical community. And after 15 years, they decided to put the data set into a game. And people, gamers with no medical experience whatsoever, with a different mindset. Now, I'm not discounting education and not discounting the medical field at all. All I'm saying is we need diverse people looking at problems. That is, and so we can see them differently, and youth see things even more differently, and gamers are even more powerful because failure is part of the game. Guess how long it took for them to solve that problem? Gamers.
I don't know.
Under
you
3 weeks. About 2 weeks. 15 years of medical community.
15 years and 15 weeks.
And 2 weeks.
And who are these gamers? What was the age group of the gamers?
It was a wide range. There's a study that, I can cite and send it. There were gamers of all ages, all the way up to like 35, because they didn't distinguish on age, they distinguished on gamers. But there were young people as well. But the point is that gamers are the perfect problem solvers, right? And have you ever noticed, you never have to say to your young person, go do your gaming now, right? They're always wanting to game.
Always on it.
It's the most self-motivated thing I have ever seen in this generation right now, that they want to do the most. That is not, now they can go down a negative path and get into addiction and play games that are not generative and are not actually supporting them. So what we're going to do is take all of our curriculum, and we're going to have a group of young people and cross-sector leaders and investors all supporting a group of young people to design a game for themselves that solves the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Oh, that's amazing. Is that the sneak preview and the sneak peek into what you're trying to do? Oh my goodness. I want you to say that one more time, and then I'm going to ask Pratik to elaborate on that. Tell me slowly what you just said. What is your game going to do?
They're going to go on missions with other youth around the world in partnership with collaborators, actual data sets, actual impact in the world. And they're going to create a game that's kind of like the Willy Wonka golden ticket meets Ready Player One meets geotagging meets Pokemon Go. And they're going to have a digital wallet and a secure ID and a game where they can learn their skills and solve global problems and express themselves and make money. And they're going to create their own education.
Pratik, what do you have to say about that? I hear you're a very integral part of the whole conceptualization and development of this.
Yeah, so it's just been fun, a lot of fun working with Heidi and company, like to kind of bring this to life. We're still bringing this to life, as Heidi just mentioned, just building up on that. So what you're trying to do is so gamify the entire solution to sustainable development goals of the United Nations. So, from my experience as well of having worked with like millions of youth leaders across the world, I personally feel that until you have a passion to solve problems, it's impossible for young people to kind of collaborate or contribute. So gaming, as Heidi was saying, it just brings young people together, and it's just a way to kind of bring it to life. So, what we're trying to do is she mentioned, we're using a digital wallet. So all of these things that you see, not only it provides education to them because they might not know about all these concepts, but then you're actually learning on the go, executing. And because they find all of this super cool, it's easier for them to kind of solve solution to problems. So what we're also planning to do is bring youth, collaborate from different geographies. So it will be diverse sectors, diverse geographies. When I say diverse sector, it's going to be water, education, edutech, health tech, climate, electric vehicles, and so on and so forth. Beautiful solutions.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, all of that. And then, backed by a crypto, backed by a wallet, digital wallet. And so everything happening, exchanges happening in tokens, and they're learning on the go, and then they're playing the game and they're developing solutions to problems. And as they do develop solutions to problems, we'll be having investors kind of putting money into these solutions so that they can scale it. So, once a youth group actually develops a solution, say on SDG 4, education, then that solution will be backed by investors to kind of scale that solution, bring it to life, and scale the pilot. And once that goes to the second stage, then, imagine the learning that you will get. So we will be ending up creating a lot of youth entrepreneurs who are impact focused, but as Heidi mentioned, they're also making money. So it's not a philanthropy model that we're trying to emphasize or create. We are trying to build sustainable solutions to these problems where youth will be stewarding these concepts. So, somebody developing, say, a solution to the problem of water scarcity. So, something like rainwater harvesting, and that model coming to life, backed by blockchain and crypto. And then, we are helping them in collaborating with all companies of the world. So like Unilever's, you name the companies, and we will help them collaborate with that, which brings in the SDG 17 into the play, which is partnership for all goals, backed by investors, so that the solution actually scales. And when that scales, you will see that you will be making a lot of money. And we are saying that we are in the age of fifth industrial revolution. We are going to transcend through this youth leadership movement from the fourth industrial revolution to the fifth industrial revolution, where we are trying to say that if you focus on impact, you can make more money and more revenues than you would have. So we are not saying you won't make money, you will make much more money. So that incentivizes the youth. We want to make youth who are graduating from top schools of the world, and also enter the impact space. Because when I speak at Harvards and Stanfords and IITs and IIMs, what I hear people say, they want to join companies like an Apple or a Facebook just because it's a fat paycheck. But then with this, what we're trying to create, you're not only developing a solution to a social problem, you're also making money. So that's the intersection of purpose and profits that we are trying to bring to life through gamification of sustainable development goals. And I think United Nations has done a fabulous job at just giving us this matrix, which just makes us life simpler, so we don't need to talk about all the concepts. It's so easy, like, that if you're talking about SDG 4, it's education. If you're talking about SDG 5, it's gender equality. So we generally use the language of the sustainable development goals, even in our business concepts, which no school will teach you. So it's going to be practical learning on the go for these kids who are in their teenagers. Imagine they are actually starting to make money from a young age, and they're contributing to the larger growth story of the world, which moves the world to a better place. So you are eventually shifting or leapfrogging from the entire fourth industrial revolution, where we have all sorts of technology, but the world is not a better place, to a fifth industrial revolution, where the world will be a better place and there will be more capital. And the best part about this is you are generating capital which never existed before. So you're kind of trying to print new currency here, because you're building new sorts of capital. This capital never existed. So imagine kids making something like a model where, like one of the kids I was speaking to, he's trying to mobilize marketing dollars towards impact, and he's made a model out of it. So imagine like a companies like Unilever's of the world, when they're trying to promote their products, which are water focused, imagine that the money that they were to spend on TV advertisements, they're going to these solutions, which will give them consumers. So the end goal that the brands want is more consumers, right? To kind of advertise and get more consumer to buy the brand. So we are doing that. Kids are developing those kind of solutions which never existed before, capital which never existed before. So that's why it's super exciting to be a part of this entire journey. And that's what gives me chills.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking about chills for you. I have goosebumps listening to you. Your energy is infectious. I'm going through that same deja vu moment. Like, why are we trying to do anything? Just sit back and fan the flames. These guys, the youth out there, they have the ideas, the energy, and they have the mental faculties to wrap their heads around this whole gaming and the technology thing, which to me, I'll be honest, I'm happy with my pen and paper and notepad, and I'm very happy to stay off my laptop. But I'm so impressed. Like I said, I've got goosebumps listening to him. And, I'm left with this question. You're doing, both of you together are doing something so fabulous. How does anybody who's listening to you, if they want to join the bandwagon, if they want to get onto this, is there any way to reach out to you? Is there a program or there's some kind of learning or something where they can, get in touch with?
Yeah. So obviously so we are actually, when you say join the bandwagon, it's different sorts of people. So we are actually trying to bring in to create the youth leadership movement. We want to partner with organizations like Unleash or World Economic Forum and those sorts of those people, so that we can get that those people on board and get young people. We are going to be partnering with schools. We are going to be partnering with investors. Now, the difference here is we just don't want any other investor. We only want investors who believe in the idea, who want to believe in the idea, what we are creating in terms of gamification of SDGs, and they believe in the power of youth to change the world. So, it's going to be a strategically aligned investors who can back solution that these kids are developing, which is just insane. So those are the kind of people. And to reach us, well, we are all, we can share our email addresses, Heidi and I. So it's going to be Heidi@dreamtank.co, Pratik@dreamtank.co. And then we are very active on social media. Anybody who wants to reach out to us can actually connect with us on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. So that's another way. Or they can just go to the website and click on partner, and they will find the link. So there are a lot of ways to kind of work with us. But the point is, we are trying to create omni-wins, where I say that we want to bring in people from different sectors into the platform. So it's not just youth. Youth is at the center, but then there are going to be investors backing those youth. And we want investors from across the world, because we want it to be a very global movement, because we're encouraging cross-geography interaction between these kids. So we're going to be opening chapters in every city, every country, and then making sure that we actually implement those solutions. These kids implement those solutions on the ground, and all the support they need is partnerships and investments and so on and so forth. So we're bringing all of that together.
I noticed that you guys also have a little WhatsApp group going of, such dreamers, the youth dreamers from all over the world who are a part of it and who are contributing ideas and such. How active is that group, and are there ideas and things happening over there that are churning out?
That group, it's not that active right now, because I would say the past 4 months, like after 2020, really, we took some time to do some really deep learning and listening and looking at what we've done to date. What is the zeitgeist of the world? What's some of the feedback that we got through working in these kind of more remote ways over COVID with youth? What was missing from our program that was missing in this? And we really took time. So we have not been as externally partnering. We've really been building up this model so that we can raise the funds in the way that is the most in alignment. And we're building decentralized finance system around it, where people can exchange with each other. So these are not simple things. So we're also going to be building into this. How is I call it an AI Yoda type character. Imagine if you could have Yoda in your pocket, matched with money, with dreams and a global ecosystem. Like, you're unstoppable, right? So it's, not going to be officially Yoda, but it's going to be an AI kind of a mentor who learns and helps you, guides you on your own personal journey. So this is an inner journey as much as it's the skill building in the world. So that group is not active right now, but we will be reactivating things. Right now, we are interviewing strategic investors, as well as the strategic partners that are the most highly aligned for this project right now. Because the young people are going to design this game to be fun for them and other kids. This is not going to be an educational game in the way that they're used to seeing it, where the math problem floats up on the screen and you have to pop the bubble with the math problem or something. Okay. They are so beyond that. It's like laughable. They laugh at that stuff. And a lot of the ed tech people, I'm sorry to say, but some of it is missing the boat because it's still trying to shove the old learning just into a game with bubbles. But you're not actually having a real data set of the world for them to go solve something. So this is a game to be fun. And that is going to drive all the rest of it. Because if you're going to go on a water mission, right, say you wanted to, we could actually have young people swarming to a location when there's a climate disaster through this game and helping by, you know, raising money, tweeting about it, going on TikTok, asking for everyone to donate $1 to this climate area. You know, they can take action so fast when they're motivated. When they're not motivated, we've all noticed how hard is it to get them to do anything right now, right? But the only thing that motivates them is this, right? Types of fun, a fun game where they can create, where nobody's telling them what to do. So there's a distinction here. It will teach them, but they will have to learn about water science, or they'll have to learn about the situation that they're going to go solve before they go do it. So they'll learn it in record time. My son, who's 12, learned about compounding interest and economics from playing idle games and trading virtual real estate that we've been doing together. He knows economic concepts that you would normally not get until you're in college. So this is so remarkable how fast they learn these concepts that we're painfully trying to teach them in all these old models. So they can, also, I'm sorry, I get really passionate and I go on and on about it. I know it's aware of the time. I go through a time warp, but our socials, we would really love, how do people get engaged? Help us get this energy and hype up around the excitement of this as we start. We haven't really revealed this in social media yet, but we would love to really boost up our followers on all the platforms. And on We Are Dream Tank is our tag. And there are, you know, you can sign up on our website to be a mentor. You can go to the section called Enter the Dream Tank, and you can say, express your interest and how you want to engage with us. But you're not going to hear back from us right now, right away, except through social media. But if you are someone who wants to help build the game, invest in the game, and maybe be one of these strategic partners, that's who we're talking to right now so that we can build it. We think the youth need this more than ever. And we think that once schools open up and they go back to school, they're going to lose more hope, because we're going to think that going back to business as usual is good for all of us. But for them, they don't want to go back to business as usual. They want something to change. So we need to get this funded and built and out in the hands of kids. We can get this into 70 countries, to 1 million kids. With 35 schools, we already have baked in distribution, and I know it's going to be more. And we can build it within 9 months and get it out there with this model. So,
well, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for both of you and for the product that's going to come and actually ease out the lives of many parents and give hope to the students and to children who really believe in gamification and who have visions of creating an impact. So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. It's been such a pleasure and an honor to have you here. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Mahima. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.